So with Foot.gg, they've managed to give us the first evolutions that are in FC26. Now, we're only a day away if you're on Xbox and PC, so let's have a look into them. Now, obviously, we're just going to look at the choices. We have got the Intro to Evolution. We have the Intro to Training Camp EVOs 1 and 2, which, by the looks of it, is only going to give you a slight upgrade. So this seems to be what we're getting now in the evolution curve. For instance, the Training Camp is the very first goalkeeper evolution, which is always fantastic, but it's only going to give us the goalkeeper sweeper keeper plus. And also then for the intro training camp evo 2, we are just going to get a playstyle upgrade as well, and it is a max of 4. So you've obviously got to choose and utilize the players that have got that, or at least doesn't have 4 playstyles on them, which is always going to be interesting because it does exclude the rarities of the World Tour Silver Superstars, which by the looks of it is going to be in quite a lot of them. Now, the way that you do the training camp is obviously either through the web app, which we'll be able to do later on today, and also then through the companion app, which is going to be more when the game launches. But then we have the very first upgrade, which is going to be Intro to Evolutions. Welcome to FC26. Kick things off by exploring evolutions where you can upgrade players over time until they reach their started maximum, or stated maximum. So we've got an upgrade of 1 overall, which is a max of 82, 1 plus on the pace, which is an 83, and 1 plus on the shooting. So nothing too crazy. It is just a very much a starter one. So if we do have a look at these sorts of players in general, I don't know if there's going to be any trending, as obviously not everybody is on the game, and unfortunately we do have to deal with the very, very small field of play. Now, obviously with the overview of everything, we are just going to get ourselves a 1 overall pace and shooting. So realistically, you're looking at either a striker or a winger. Maybe you could go for a cam in some options, and like it says kind of on the start of the patch notes, all of these evolutions are going to be tailor-made for a slower curve. They're looking to lower the upgrade chances or the upgrade amount and get players, for instance, your 75s, your 77s, up into a certain level before they start then putting in an 86, an 87. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. So if we do get rid of a lot of these players and look at what we can get in terms of the attacking options, because you're not going to put a DM in here, you're not going to put a kind of a centre back or a fullback, you're going to be looking at somebody like Alanga. He's going to be a great shout for it, but also what you've got to remember is, especially with a lot of the wingers, you may be able to put him in, but is it going to be viable? You're not going to get the pace upgrade. You're going to get just 1 shooting and an overall. So realistically, you want to look at somebody who can fit the masses on this. You get the maximum of 83 on the pace, so even then not a great deal. So you could choose between, if you've got somebody with an 82 or 81 pace, realistically it's going to be more of a striker than a winger, and see if you want to upgrade there. So like Goulet, he can obviously play in that cam role as well, which is going to always be the interesting side, because naturally you'd want to see if he could potentially have that upgrade and get himself into the shooting. So taking him up to the 82 gives him that 1 shooting. It may not be crazy amounts, but if then we was to throw a hunter, at least it does go, that needs to be fixed in general. Can't see it with that bright green, but he gets 77, 81. So lots and lots of different choices that we can go with here. Now, obviously, you could just go down the route and just upgrade a lower rated player and just upgrade and upgrade. It's not necessarily one that I'm kind of going and being destined for in this. It's predominantly going to be players that realistically just need a little bit of a bump up a bit. Now, if we were looking at someone like a Kolomawane, gets a bit of a shooting upgrade, we are yet to see if we do get something for the early access for Ultimate Team. This is just the very start in there, so I can imagine we are going to get stuff once the early access of Ultimate Team is fully live, not just necessarily any of the streamers. Someone like Jackson kind of fits this pretty well. He'd get the upgrade on the pace, a little bit more on that shooting. It takes him up at least a little bit. Now again, if you're going to go with this, 89 pace, 82 shooting, that for me is a solid option. It's definitely not necessarily one of the worst that you can go with. I don't know, can you finish this twice? I don't know why it's got it twice, but I mean, maybe if you can, potentially you could finish twice. Does it say that you could? Or is it just repeatable? In 12 days... Oh, you can do it twice. That's always interesting. So these are going to be once. So you can do it twice for some people. So if you wanted to do a striker of a lower variety, for instance, if again we took this striking ability and we go down to the 80, say we choose Jesus. Not a bad shout to say the least. We go with him here. He gets the double upgrade. He gets 2 shooting, 2 pace. Again, it's not terrible. It takes him to that 82. Might not be a bad shout to look at somebody that can have that double upgrade on them. So again, we get the 89, 83 with the Hunter on side of him. He has a decent amount of dribbling, composure a little bit lower, but again, taking him from that 80 to the 82 with 3 evolutions, this is potentially where they want to go. Or you could just choose 2 players. You could choose 2 82s if you really want, and it's definitely not going to be the worst choice that you can go with. Obviously then, a lot of players, for instance, in the Prem are going to be utilised. If I went for someone like Sesko, he's not necessarily going to get the full upgrade into this. He'll get the shooting bonus, but he already has that 83 on the pace already. So maybe you'd miss out and just leave him potentially in there. When we do look at the rest of them, so we've got the intro to the training camp EVOs 1, which is going to be goalkeepers. So again, this is going to be always an interesting one because we've never had it before. It's predominantly not a bad thing. What you would suggest in this personally is you've got to definitely look at what sort of upgrades they've already got. Have they already got the sweeper keeper on there as a plus? You're going to obviously find it at the bottom here. So realistically, that's going to be one thing that you really want to add up. Now, it's not going to necessarily give anything in terms of upgrade anywhere else. So it is just going to be a role plus, nothing else on there. And to be honest, if you don't use the sweeper keeper plus, there's not really any need to put them into this. I don't know if they do count as an Evo, so once you fully evolve them, because they're going to have potentially the gold card, it's the same as the intro to evolutions. You're not going to have an evolution card, it's going to be just back to gold. Whether it still counts as like a gold evolution or it's just an evolution in itself, then obviously that would be good for an objective later on down the line. But in general, if you don't utilize this, I don't think it's that big of a deal if you kind of just miss out on this one. So realistically, if I was looking at it, again, it's going to be down to what keeper you personally prefer. I would suggest probably going for the league that you're going for. I would say that Prem is going to be a lot of the choice here, in my opinion. So you've kind of got the choice of keepers here. Pope's obviously going to be a big one out of this. Vicario is going to be another one. I don't think Henderson's going to be a bad shout. And then anybody kind of further down, it's going to be each to their own. Like, Onana's probably not the greatest keeper to choose either. But naturally, you're just going to go with somebody that you are using currently. And I think 82 on a keeper, you're probably going to max that out a little bit more. Now, with obviously this training camp, we've got this playstyle that I actually don't know what this one is, to be honest. So that's going to be very difficult to figure out because it doesn't actually tell me which one it is. But if I do go FC26 new playstyles, we are going to get, it's called, oh, that's great. It's called, that's a very, very small picture. We have got the fancy Travella. It's going to be Game Changer. Okay, it was at the top. I didn't read it. So in terms of a playstyle, obviously this one again doesn't have any min or maximums in terms of kind of who you can choose, like a position wise, but you've got to be what, 82 max, 3 playstyles maximum, then obviously can go up to 4 with this one. So really, we're looking at the Game Changer. It is the Flair and Travella all in one technically. So realistically for this, I'm looking at Cam is going to be the great shout to start with. Maybe on early game, you could choose wingers, maybe looking at maybe a centre mid, probably kind of cancel out any CDMs. So I'd be starting looking at cams more so than anything. So if we was to just pick one out of anywhere, Nkunku's obviously going to be a great shout to start with going into the Serie A. Always great. And if we do look at him, he's got himself the 3, finesse, first touch, technical. Now, the one thing that you've got to make sure when you're utilising this is, with the fact that we are lowering the evolutions to start with, it means that the progression of what you evolve is going to be slower as well. It's not as if we're going to put 4 on him now and then suddenly all of them have got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's lowered in the curve as well. So always make sure you know that down to a T. We then have this one, so it's going to give him the intro to evolution, giving him the pace and shooting, and then also giving him that extra play style as well with Game Changer. So again, it's not going to be a terrible one. I think this is going to be great for any players that don't have it. Make sure that you check that they don't have it as well. You'd be very surprised how many people probably can choose it. So realistically, if you want to obviously have a look, we'll look at the trending players once they do Oh, apparently they do come out. Kudus, Mukiele, looking at Nkunku's always the shout. Chiesa, yes. Then you got obviously a few others. This will be skewed massively as well because people might not know that this is out on kind of foot.gg. So naturally we want to have a look at Ahmad to see what has he got. And you can see the lower amount of play style. So this is going to be a massive curve up. So we've got technical. This could be a great one for him. So naturally, another great shout that you can throw him. He's got cam, right wing, centre mid, right mid, a very vast amount of positions. So you could even just throw him all onto him, to be honest. Yes, he's got the pace already locked down to 85. But even if you went for the shooting, I'd personally be looking at him most definitely as this in general shout. Do we have the trending on here? I was going to say, we definitely didn't get the trending on this one. It might just be that people are looking at what that game changer is. So lots of different options to go with. It is an interesting one to see. We have got the web app coming up very soon. So let me know your opinions there. Make sure you like and subscribe on this. And I'll catch you all for that next one. Peace.